Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Emanuel, I'm a Boeing 737 pilot and a member of PMDG's tech team. Just today, on the 9th of October 2022, Robert Randazzo has posted an update on various PMDG related topics in the forums, and for those of you who don't want to read a couple of pages of text, let me quickly summarize it for you in a video. So, some general stuff. Where do we stand right now? Since the release of PMDG's 737-800 update, there has been a little bit of a slowing down in public updates and in, let's call it public relations from PMDG, but that does not at all mean that work would have slowed down. Now, it is true that since the release of the 800, a couple of PMDG members have really been sent into vacation by the boss himself, because a lot of them have been very hard at work. So a little bit of vacation was certainly necessary. On top of that, when Robert himself came back, he spent a week in bed due to some illness, so that's the general situation that we have just had. However, everything is getting wrapped up once again and the full progress is resuming. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we can expect in the hopefully not so sooner future. First of all, there is a new update coming for the 737 for Microsoft Flight Simulator, of course for the entire product line, so the 600, 700 and 800. And that update is going to bring another sweep of fixes, tuning and improvements into the product range. So a few fixes that have been developed during the SU10 beta period, in order to improve stability of control-related functions such as pitch, yaw, roll and thrust, and that should hopefully, and I'm saying hopefully because that is my personal assumption, fix the issues the airplane has with overshooting of altitude and losing altitude at lower airspeeds. Now, Robert emphasizes here that at PMDG, fortunately, there is an actual PhD scientist and mathematician on staff for more than 20 years already, and the, quote, full force of his professional background is proving to be worth its thrust, lift, drag and weight in gold, quote end. So that update is anticipated to be out in a few days, with another one to follow shortly thereafter to bring greater stability to the thrust channel when operating under auto throttle. As you guys know, that one is currently a little bit of an issue due to the unrealistically active environment in Microsoft Flight Simulator at the moment. Next up, the PMDG 737-900 is preparing for beta testing. And a release date is currently not known, but the, quote, best guess, quote end, for release is currently around mid-November-ish, and might of course be a little bit quicker, or it might take a little bit longer. Next up, the one that most of you are probably waiting for is the PMDG Universal Flight Tablet, or in short, the Electronic Flight Bag, or EFB. Now, there have been a couple of newcomers to the flight simulation world who have asked, like, why didn't PMDG think of an EFB in first place? And the answer to that is that the P3D product line did already have an EFB in the 747-8, 777 and 737 series back then, but that one was the standard Boeing EFB that was popular in the mid-1990s, but then faded away quickly in favor of iPad or Microsoft Surface type devices. So PMDG, based on a lot of customer feedback, have decided to dump the old Boeing style EFB and replace it with a tablet based suit, and that is what is going on at the moment. Now, to quote, I don't think much here is groundbreaking in the tablet, but it does provide some fancier graphics and a more modern feel. It will commonize many of your interactions with the PMDG product lines, and we will be rolling some other new functionality into it as we go, quote end. So, overall, what I do expect is to get a tablet that does provide all the functions that we have available on real-life electronic flight bags, while also being a little bit developed live on the go. Needless to say, however, there is some emphasis on it that a few operators and of course many technical advisors like myself have been involved in discussions on the new EFB, and Robert himself is using a range of tablet-based applications in planning, dispatching, communicating, and operational performance monitoring in his own current flying. So there is a lot of expertise going into it, and I'm very sure that the PMDG EFB is going to be one of the best in the market. Now, let me add a small personal note in here regarding a couple of the comments on EFBs that I've seen on my channel. It seems that a lot of people think an EFB would just be some sort of a tablet that has some sort of functionality. And indeed that is what a lot of developers have added, and they call it an EFB, while indeed it is nowhere near what an actual electronic flight pack in an airline operation would include. So at present the only more or less complete EFB that I'm aware of is the one in the Phoenix Airbus, and even that does not feature everything that we are using on a day-to-day operation in real life. Most notably, the product manuals and stuff are what I'm referring to over here. Now, in the PMDG EFB, that stuff is most likely all gonna be there. I'm saying most likely because I haven't seen it yet, but the main point that I want to emphasize here on is that I've had a lot of comments under my YouTube channel where people said that, well, everybody has an EFB now, why don't you? And the honest answer to that is, the Just Flight 146 has a good-ish EFB, but still far from complete in terms of what we're using day to day in real life. The Leonardo has a very good EFB, but still they aren't 100% there yet, mostly referring to charts. And the Phoenix is pretty much the most complete EFB that we see on the market at the moment. The others, while many of them don't even intend to have a complete EFB, they just call their tablet, which are mostly either a map of some sort, but usually not an aviation map, and then a device to place certain options in the product. Those things aren't really EFBs in the sense, and in PMDG things won't be that simplified either, but instead the aim is to have a complete EFB like what you could expect on a real airliner. So that just as a small comment from my side as an answer to many of the questions that I've had on my channel. Now let's go back to the official update and to what Robert Randazzo has written. Next up is the 737 in Marketplace. Now, Robert emphasizes here that the 737 is not yet in Marketplace, mostly due to PMDG's desire to have the 737, quote, done and tidy, quote, before handing it off to what is effectively the world's largest market for simulation products. Now, Robert says himself that he has been holding the reins on this step, mostly because he wanted to be sure the product line is advanced enough and that all the initial testing on the tablets is complete before the 737 is handed off to Microsoft. Now, supporting products via micro updates, as is done through the Operations Center, is a simple thing for PMDG to do, but they don't yet have sufficient experience supporting such a rapid development process by the marketplace, and therefore they wanted to be sure that things will go smoothly before releasing the product on the marketplace. Now, quote, the process will start off here soonish, quote end. And he does say that they will enter that water gently, and they want to be sure that they can support all customers to a high quality degree. So, the marketplace topic will be closed off with another quote directly out of the update. We are learning MSFS on the fly, so to speak, and trying to get it as right as we can the first time. Finally, software update 10 SDK changes. Now, the question about those have been asked in at least 50 different forms since early summer on the PMDG forums, and while Robert is going to refrain from commenting too specifically about individual items at that risk becoming a scenario in which the realities of development and user expectations get to clash constantly, even though there is no actual reason for them to do so. Now, he does emphasize, however, that PMDG is of course reading the SDK nodes as well as the update nodes. So PMDG is evaluating all those changes and is trying to see which of them can be usefully implemented into the products. However, nonetheless, he does not want to go into detail because it makes things sound so much like PMDG is unhappy with Asobo, and that isn't the case. So Robert does put emphasis that the poor folks at Asobo have likely have come to dread seeing developers posting on all the things they feel are missing from the simulator, and Robert himself very much wants to avoid adding to that dread. He does emphasize that there is a ton of stuff improving on the platform, and while of course there have been moments where he felt that bits of criticism were appropriate, he also feels it is important to know when to stand out of the way and let progress happen. Now, that is the overall update on SDK with the SIM Update 10 changes. Finally, where are we with Xbox? Now, Asobo and Microsoft are still working on compatibility for the C++ and Wasm projects on the Xbox platform, and once that is sorted on Asobo's end, they are going to make the DC6 live on the platform again to ensure it goes smoothly, and then will work in concert with MS to ensure the 737 is also compatible. Right now, quote, "This road is a twisty, turny one, and we will navigate it in real time once the capability reaches reality," quote end. A last word here on the PMDG 777 for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I will simply quote what the original update is saying there. "This project is humming right along. In fact, it made greater progress than expected while I was away on vacation. I suggested to the team that this was a good indication that perhaps I should remain on vacation, but there was not a general sense of agreement in this regard." Quote end. So the flight model seems to be looking absolutely spectacular. However, unfortunately, there are no pictures shown at the moment. And Robert does give a little bit of an update there on how the models of each of the MSFS product lines came to play. So for the 737, PMDG actually used a brand new, not yet in service model that they surveyed and that they took the pictures of for the 737 for the simulator. For the 777, an average aged aircraft was used, and he also gives an update on the 747 there. And he already says that we have a beat-to-death workhorse 747 serving as the basis for that product. So it will give you a good breadth of age, and before anyone asks, no, PMDG really doesn't plan to let you choose the age of the cockpit. It is a huge amount of work for the 3D textures and models to match, and since the techniques PMDG uses build many of the imperfections right down to the model level, well, just wait till you see it. It will be spectacular. On a final note here, for P3D users, there is currently no information to share on that topic yet. PMDG is planning a few merge-ins to bring some of the new control law behaviors backwards into the PMDG product line, but they haven't yet found the right gap in the testing program to allow this to happen, and more information will be made available once it is available. Alright, that shall pretty much close up the 9th October 2022 update that Robert Randazzo has posted. Now, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. Hope that you have enjoyed this one. And of course, the original update is going to be linked in the video description below, so that you can read up on the originals that Robert has posted about. I hope to be able to show you the new beta updates in the not so far future live, or at least in a video. But until then, thank you very much for watching, everyone. And finally, if you do want to support the channel, there is a Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much for considering the support, and finally I would like to wish you all a very nice weekend.